Rajiv, friends, I thank you all for these observations and would like to emphasize that the rot is growing and it has been growing for the last 25 years or so. I have been watching exactly these points to be our weak points, and being in the state most of my life, I have been able to reform at the state level and at the district level. These structural issues which have come in and which have been highlighted by most of the friends over here, I could answer each one in the sense that who is to do what. But instead of doing that, I would like to raise essentially 4 fundamental points, 3 problems which have to be solved, and 6 ways forward. Now, if you agree with this statement, then I think it will address, I think about 50 to 60%, if not more, of the issues you have raised. See, most importantly, clearance mechanisms or institutional clearance mechanisms cannot be considered separately from an institutional monitoring mechanism. Unless, but if you notice, in our country as abroad, as in the developed world, the clearance institution or clearance mechanism is the same as the monitoring mechanism, which is a great presumption on the part of that particular body that the ground truth is known. See, when the ground truth is not known, or when the ground is not throwing up the truth, then there is a crying need to separate the 2 institutions. Today, it is not there. So I'm going to attack these structural issues because, see, all of you are from the ground and you know the truth. The only problem is we are not on the ground. We were for a long time, but not on the ground now. But this situation will continue, I'm afraid, till we touch these points, because I have seen from the village level to this level, and I know that this perhaps is the only way we can do it with equanimity, with equilibrium, without terrible chaos. Second fundamental is that environment clearance is very different from clearing electronic networks or clearing engineered products or brick and mortar products. It involves a lot of other parameters, human, nature, flora, fauna, etc. So there is almost no limit to the number of parameters. I have actually calculated that 168 parameters, of which we cover only about 8 parameters in our assessments, both forest and environment. The capacity of the pollution victims, has not come up to the level that they can do monitoring and regulation. So therefore, it is necessary to have institutional responsibility to the victims and to the hosts. So therefore, institutional clearance as also monitoring is required, but we need separation. In India, at least for the next 50 years, till the ground structures are made stronger through policy and law. Till then, there has to be 2 separate. This is my opinion. If we do not have a clearance mechanism or a pure state of nature, then what will happen is, today if you notice, it's only the industrial sector which gets some level of regulation, despite all the problems you mentioned. Still, there is some regulation. Look at an area which is not regulated at all. Sewage going in the form of non-point water pollution, that is fertilizer wash-offs and runoffs and all, sewage into water, and vehicular air pollution. What does not get cleared is absolutely a health hazard today. And India's, I think 98%, there's a study I've seen a study, it says 98% of India's water bodies are polluted to the extent that they are not even bathing quality. So, clearance is required, unfortunately. the other problem with clearance is without having an institutional mechanism of responsibility, we cannot protect eco-sensitive zones. Most of the mines, as you have seen, is now in very, very rich biodiversity, rich areas, especially in very thick forest areas. And that is where the war is going on right now. We are really fighting hard, but there is also the need for that coal. But I will give statistics which a little later, which will prove to you that we are moving to the extent, of course, to some extent we have been able to make a breakthrough, especially on the points which Sunita made regarding the excess clearances given for power, megawatts and coal in million tons. We are doing something, I'll tell you about that later. Now the three problems we have is, one is scientific. Now that's something which none of you brought out. You see, we have an obsession with carrying capacity since policy of 1992. Do we know what is environmental carrying capacity?
No.
So therefore, please see the fundamental problems of clearance and monitoring. We say, we means, well, the law book says, and the Central Pollution Control and the State Pollution Control, they say that if ambient standard for about 6 or 7 or 5 major pollutants are achieved, then carrying capacity is not disturbed. Answer is no, because in the standards we follow, which is a concentration-based standard, we presume the availability of eco-flows, both in terms of air and water. The receptors are never taken into account, and the standards are given to the industry to maintain for its outlets, or ambient standard of every lake, every waterway, every river should be that. So now, what happens is, highly polluted areas where there is no clean water, if you notice, if you say COD or DOD, if you say in terms of MGL, that liter of water is required. We presume it is there, a little of clean water is required, then only COD can be 200 or 150. But if that liter is not there, then 100 150s will become 100 into 1500. And perhaps there is only 1 liter of clean water. Now you see the problem. So it's a structural, very difficult problem to solve. Now, there is a solution to that, I am coming to that later. Number 2 problem, the distance factor. Clearance of the projects are made far, far away from its impact. Now, you name everywhere it's like that. Again, the distance factor means that baseline is not known. The changes in baseline is not known. We keep saying that the EIA takes long, not we means the developers, they keep saying that the EIA takes so long to do because of the process, because of comprehensive EIA 5, 3-season monitoring, 10 kilometer, 10 kilometer monitoring. But see, this is the job of the state. It is the job of the state to develop baselines for what? Not for the whole country, but for hinterlands of ports, along major roads, along major rail tracks, along the so-called development corridors. We need to do that. We have not been able to do that. Now, if we develop, we have the technology to do that. As a matter of fact, there have been experiments already done in some states where these 168 parameters have been mapped and they can be layered and they can be seen. Now, this is called baseline survey. This takes 60% of the time and 60% of the cost of an EIA. So therefore, it is not helping anybody. When the proponent does the EIA today, why? Because government has no money, government has no resources, so we cannot do the EIA baseline and update it. Actually, it is possible to do it if we only don't take on all this responsibility on the head of MOEF, but we sort of decentralize these things and network with stalwarts like you. But anyway, we have not done all that. So now the EIA is done, and every 3 years, every 2 years, depending upon the pressure of development in that particular area, it's updated. Separate from the EIA, which means the mass balance, the material balance, and the water balance. This is the only thing a proponent needs to do. He buys the information from the government or downloads it and just adds these 3 balances to find out in what way his project will affect. This is very easy to explain in a public hearing. If we say this information is government's information, in other words, this is the truth. Someone is certifying, someone is taking responsibility for it. Tomorrow we can't, today we can't. We can't say that the proponent says like this. There are cases in my state where for the same micro watershed, 10 different baselines have been produced in 10 different EIAs, all according to each one's needs in terms of pollution margin. They need pollution margin so that they can pollute. So there's a conflict of interest built into this. However, this baseline work has not been done by us. There should be done. We should finance it. Or if you don't have the resources, the money should come from the proponent and get routed through us. Us means the State Pollution Control Board, and the money should be paid by the State Pollution Control Board to the consultant and not directly by the proponent. So the third is the clearance and the monitoring mechanisms in India are not stakeholders. Unless stakeholders are involved, this structural weakness will remain. Now, my suggestions for a drastic change, a drastic reform would be, first, the clearance process should encourage cleanup. If you notice, the way we are doing this whole idea of standards, ambient standard, carrying capacity based study, carrying capacity based clearances means what? Means as soon as a place gets dirty, go and dirty some new place, a cleaner place. No, see, this is something which has, I don't know how, I have published in this area before I came here. Our whole philosophy of 1992 and then, since then, has been that when you dirty one area, it's too dirty, you now move to dirty another area. So the whole policy of EIA is that. Catch the carrying capacity. How we are doing it, we know, all of you said. But even much beyond that, the mistake is the problem is much more deep-rooted than what you have just said. Now, if we must therefore do first, clearance process should encourage cleanup rather than polluting clean areas. Load-based local standards must be shared. Now, we don't have load-based standards. In other words, what does it mean? You must see, concentration is also a load. But if the load of the receptors are taken into account, then tonnage is worked out by multiplying the volume of a particular pollutant with the media which carries it. That means the clean water or clean air which carries it, and you get the volume. Then you share that volume in terms of tons of BOD shared by the number of polluters. That is the way to clean up the area rather than give each one the same standard. So that means each area will be differently handled. It's number two. This can be easily done because we already have the infrastructure. TSDFs and CETPs are there, they have to be upgraded and they have to be owned by these industrial and municipal polluters. Number two, state sponsoring of baseline surveys and public hearings. We all know that in many cases public hearings are financed by the proponent. So that's the reason why all this happens. Police comes and all this, because the states are vying with each other for these investments. And our country as a whole, we are vying with other countries for investments. So that threat goes all the way down to the village level, which you are facing every day. So, but to change this, if the state sponsors baseline surveys and public hearings, then proponents use the survey, that means what I said just now, for all the 168 parameters, including forest and wildlife parameters, to base their individual EIAs. This will reduce the time and costs of EIA for them. So the developers or will also agree to this, because they will spend 30% of time and 30% of money on EIA. So, and the rest will be done by the state, and the state will get it upgraded over a period of time, maybe 2 years, 3 years. Number three, decentralizing clearances. Now this is something we have done long ago in Andhra Pradesh in 1998. Decentralizing all clearances. Give powers to committees where your people. That means today we have only, say, a state pollution control board's technical officers are in a committee. Some experts come from Delhi, some experts come from Madras, and they sit down and they take a decision. Again, they are very, very far away. They are coming from far away. Now, I am saying what we did is we did not have these experts only from Delhi. We reduced the number of experts from Delhi and increased the number of experts from local universities and academia and local NGOs. The woman Sarpanch, we have a lot of women Sarpanches in Andhra Pradesh. The woman Sarpanch was made the member of the committee so that she could take responsibility for this clearance. And all clearances under Water Act and Air Act were decentralized. All your problems can be solved at the state level. Now, center. The central level as per the EP Act is for A category industries. There is no justification to say that the Ministry of Environment is the sole knowledge base for A category industries. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. It's the small industries, it's the mines, it's the so-called dirty industries which are more dangerous for the public. The large industries which are, say, 5,000 crores or 2,000 crores, for them, environment management is a very small percentage of their costs. So normally, they are much more disciplined and they have a reputation at stake. So those big fellows, they can also be cleared or not cleared at the state level and at the district level. So the committees have to be empowered under the EP Act, under the Water Act, and the Air Act. And the committees must have trained and learned representation from the victims directly. Whichever language they use does not matter. It is necessary immediately. Decentralizing clearances must involve stakeholders, local academia, and civil society. Andhra Pradesh example, under Water and Air Acts we did it. EP Act was not under our control. It was with the government of India. Fixing responsibility on sub-regional committees. We even gave them financial powers. Can you imagine if this committee has financial powers also? They feel responsible. So you can't keep on saying that, no, they will eat the money. So eating money is going on in a much larger way here and there, you know, which is not at the village level. So why not try that? We have not tried it. Number 4, decentralizing monitoring, involving accredited private sector. This is important. Next session is on accreditation. But private sector, without that, we don't have the resources. We need accredited private companies as also academic institutions. I mean, universities at the local level, their professors, their students, the PhD students, they should be involved with doing these baseline surveys as also doing monitoring of the specific parameters which have to be complied with under the under the clearance process. University, civil society members of the local area, these committees will be empowered under the acts, and any false reports they are also responsible. So it's not that once they get the power they will eat up everything. No. Why not try it out? They can be made legally responsible. Like we are legally responsible to the courts. The courts need not always call the secretary. The courts can also call the Sarpanch, provided the Sarpanch is given the powers. We have not given them the powers. State pollution control boards and regional offices of the MOEF should be supported financially and legally in this venture. The state pollution control boards should be empowered to cover municipalities and panchayats and the MOEF ROs for forest area. This is very important. We cannot leave the municipalities alone. The municipalities must come under the legal net, without which your sanitation, your cities are gone. CPCB will be totally kept in charge of the whole clearance network. It will report to the MOEF for policy interventions only. So MOEF stops all clearances. MOEF just becomes a policy body. Now, this is very drastic. But finally, this has to be done. If not today, it may be after 10 years, 20 years, I don't know. I mean, it depends upon how long you all can wait. Because frankly speaking, it has been done. So it's not that if you go to Andhra, you can find out from the pollution control boards, the old chaps who are over there, and some of them are retired now, but they'll tell you how difficult it was to get that done. But we did it. And of course, the Chief Minister and that group was slightly different than now, but it was it was a lot of support we got from them. As a quid pro quo, that Chief Minister asked us that, okay, in such a case, since you are giving so much power to NGOs and to all these people, you will also speed up the clearance process. So we were the first to automate applications under the Water and Air Act. We reduced corruption because after a decision was taken by our committee, it was put on the website straight away so that people knew the decision, which we are doing in the Ministry of Environment now, but I'm talking about 1999, 98, that period, and 2000, that's the period. So all this was done then, so it's a question of helping both sides. We can't just... Now, what I want to do is, very quickly, if you agree, because address the points you made, some of them.
Yes, please.
Because I've already addressed by saying... Yeah, first is what Sunita said, 2.4 lakh megawatts, yes, 2.4 lakh megawatts have been cleared, out of which 70,000 megawatts is not used. So I have had detailed meetings with the Secretary and the Minister there, and 70,000 megawatts they have now flagged for either doing away with or converting. That means they will ask us to say, they will convert to other management.
So it will be like a swap?
No, the issue is the megawattage will not be utilized. So to that extent, I don't know how much, this is all thermal, I think.
Yes.
So therefore, according to the Association of Power Producers, the top people of this country, they say that this 70,000 will not come. So to that extent, our coal is safe because coal is also not available. Even for the existing plants, there is not enough coal. So 70,000 will not come. But yes, we have given in excess of need. But it is not really creating any environmental impact. So you can be rest assured.
So why not put a moratorium on any further thermal power clearance?
Yeah, I'll just explain. There are ways of doing things. No? See, the thing is, now coal, no, let me just finish because there's some issues. Coal, 470 million tons per annum of coal has been given in excess. Now, in excess means they wanted it, it was given. So now we have stopped giving all coal clearances till they tell us by project how much of this 470 million tons they are going to use. And the answer is 200 is, the other 200 have got into problems of land acquisition and law and order. So that's what they say. So that's 270 gone. So another 200 in excess they have. So it's not such a problem. No new coal areas are being given, but yeah, minor expansions or depth expansions we are looking at. But that flurry of clearances have stopped for coal.
And thermal
now consent.
Thermal will stop as well.
Thermal, no, we are not, thermal, new power projects are not coming.
Okay, so you will stop them?
If they come, we will examine them much more cleverly.
You will stop them?
And no, we cannot stop them, but we may not clear them.
But you have a very clear reason. You're saying 70,000 megawatts, they are themselves saying they will remain unutilized.
No, but these are legal entities, wait.
No, fair enough. But
these are legal
when you
entities.
first cancel 70,000, then you will open up
This is what we have been insisting. That dialogue is going on right now. But then my answer, see, finally I'm also a bureaucrat. So my what she said, I said yes, but we are not going to clear so easily. Now these kind of things will go on, but please understand the spirit behind it, because I just cannot take a position the way you can. And because I have to handle not one side, I have to handle three sides. Plus development, you, and courts. So that's another side. And international. That's the fourth side. So the whole thing is that you do right, but you need not speak right. But idea is to do right. Now look, most of the problems raised by Nicholas and and others like Madhu Sarin, these are connected to the mishandling of public hearing. Public hearing videos are available. Now, if we see them, if you know, and you are welcome to come and see the files in our office where public hearing points are raised by us. Our Joint Secretary raises it, our Minister raises it, I raise it, saying that has this been addressed. Then it goes back. There are many cases like that, I'll show you. And in the last 1 year or so, we have not stopped, but we have inquired deeply, and then they have given consents of the Gram Sabha, and only then those projects have been cleared. But yes, overall public hearing is not taken very seriously because of the present conditions. Today, the public does not understand the EIA. And yes, the EIA is a standard, very standardized document where some of them, they change the names of the village and they forget to change it in some pages. And it's the same EIA which is being repeated. Now, the issue is structural. As I mentioned, it should be done by someone else and not by the proponent. There's a conflict of interest there. But today, it is a massive change, and that cannot happen in a day. We are now talking internally with our minister also, and I'm quite sure that we will be moving in the right direction. But it cannot happen, tomorrow. But this is what has to be done, and you must insist on it. And very importantly, you have to insist on it. See, the point is that we don't have the kind of pressure power, lobby power that you have. We know that this has to be done, but we just cannot do it sitting where we are sitting. So unless you get together and help us to achieve this, this is going to take another 20 years otherwise, or it can be speeded up if you understand the way to do it. And the way to do it is this: the laws don't need amendment. The laws are there already. The same laws can be used to restructure the clearance and monitoring program. Illegal coal mines. Now, Meghalaya. Look, coal mine legality is not with the central government. The lease is the license. The lease is given by the state government. We only come for clearance, that is for environmental clearance. So today, you know full well that the lease period and the clearance period are coterminous. So in other words, if the lease gets over, but the clearance time is available, it's gone. So they are coterminous. So the lease and this go together. Now, if the state does not, it's a completely illegal thing. You can close it down any time. But it's the state which has to do it, because they are the ones in control of the license. NPVCB. Now, today we have reached a stage, especially in Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh, where there is no revenue land available. Now, no communal land is available, and whatever is available is rock. It's not even grazing land. Chief secretaries are supposed to give us certificates saying, no non-forest land is available in my state. Then only we go for double the area of development of reserve forest areas in compensatory afforestation. Now, yes, what you said, Chhattisgarh, yes, it does not increase the quantity or the area of forest, but it increases the quality of forest. It upgrades the quality of forest. There are methods today of doing afforestation without actually cutting forests, in the sense without actually doing this swap, this compensatory swap. There are ways of doing it, but then it is again requires a tremendous amount of restructuring, and we can discuss that separately. NPV and CA money goes into CAMPA, which is not utilized properly. And this is being introduced by the Supreme Court, as you know. So the Supreme Court's permission is required to use the CAMPA funds. And as on today, a CAMPA fund has got 22,000 crores. So the money is just earning interest. It has to be used for compensatory afforestation and for development of our forest. It is being used, it's not that it's not. But only 1,000 crore per annum is being released by the Supreme Court. So 1,000 crore per annum divided by the number of states which have sent this money here. This money belongs to the states. It's not our money. But though it's very little, so they are not being able to make any intervention to really upgrade the forest within the reserve forest, because there's not enough money flow. So the Green India Mission is one program we have started, for which we have required another 500 crores per annum, and that 500 plus 1,000 we may be able to make a dent, and we are expecting that IA petition to be taken up very soon by the Supreme Court.